People speak of kindness as though it were armor. They speak of mercy as if it were strength. Yet when the storm comes, and it always does, these same virtues turn to chains that drag the gentle to their ruin. The world does not reward purity. It rewards control. It does not honor goodness. It honors power. Look around you. The weak cry for fairness. The strong define it. The meek dream of justice. The cunning write the laws. History is not written by the innocent. It is written by those who dared to shape it in their image. If you wish to stand unbroken, you must learn one truth. Compassion without strategy is suicide. Ruthlessness is not cruelty. It is clarity. It is the refusal to kneel before the illusions of decency when survival demands decisiveness. The lion who hesitates to strike will not live to roar another day. So too must a leader, a thinker, a survivor strike when the time is right, without apology, without hesitation. The world is a theater of masks. Those who rule it understand that sentiment is a tool, not a master. Pretend mercy when it serves you. Speak gently when it gains you loyalty. But when the moment comes to choose between being loved and being obeyed, choose obedience. Love fades. Fear endures. If you must betray, betray with purpose. If you must deceive, deceive for power. For there is no virtue in losing nobly only the satisfaction of your enemies. You owe the world nothing but your survival and the preservation of your dominion. Be ruthless, not in hatred, but in wisdom. Cut away weakness as a surgeon cuts rot. Guard your heart from pity that blinds judgment. Let others call you cold. It is better to be feared and standing than kind and forgotten. The world will break you if you let it. But if you stand unyielding, if you harden your spirit, command your will, and embrace the necessity of ruthlessness, it will bow before you. For the world respects only those who cannot be broken. The world rewards strength, not innocence. Every era, every empire, every system built by men proves this truth. The innocent believe that the world will recognize their purity, that honesty alone will protect them from betrayal, and that good intentions will open every gate. But the world is not a temple of justice. It is an arena of power. It watches quietly, as the naive are devoured by those who understand its nature. The world does not kneel before the pure, it bows to those who command it. Strength is not simply muscle or wealth. It is mastery of perception, the ability to impose your will even in chaos. The strong are not those who avoid pain, but those who wield it as a weapon. They understand that compassion must be measured, trust must be earned, and mercy must never blind judgment. Innocence mistakes the world for a mirror. It believes others see what it sees. But the world is not a reflection. It is a contest of control. And those who lack the stomach for it are soon forgotten. The innocent live by ideals. The strong live by results. Ideals are noble banners, but banners burn easily when the wind shifts. Those who survive are the ones who know when to fight, when to yield, and when to strike first. They do not wait for justice, they create it. They do not hope for fairness, they define it. Strength is not a matter of cruelty. It is the art of maintaining command over circumstance. It is the refusal to let the world dictate your fate. The innocent think strength is corruption, yet it is the only shield that endures. It allows a man to act with purpose, while others drown in hesitation. It gives vision, weight, and commands silence in rooms filled with noise. Without strength, truth becomes a whisper easily drowned by lies. Without strength, morality is mocked by those who bend it. Without strength, even the righteous are ruled by the ruthless. The world has always belonged to the ones who can bear its indifference. It tests everyone. It crushes the timid, exposes the foolish, and crowns the determined. Every throne ever claimed was taken by those who understood that power does not wait for permission. Innocence expects reward. Strength demands it. Innocence prays for peace. Strength enforces it. Innocence dies dreaming of what should be. Strength builds what must be. Power is neither good nor evil, it simply exists, and the world bends to those who know how to use it. Those who cling to innocence are like lambs, admiring the beauty of the forest, while the wolves circle quietly. The forest will not spare them because they are gentle. The world is not moral, it is merciless, and only those who accept that truth learn how to shape it rather than be shaped by it. Mercy without strategy invites destruction. Mercy in itself is not weakness, but when it lacks wisdom, it becomes a weapon turned inward. The world admires mercy in words but punishes it in practice. A merciful hand extended without calculation will be bitten, for there are those who see kindness not as virtue but as vulnerability. To survive and rule in a world that feeds on ambition, mercy must be tempered with foresight, guided by reason, and used only when it strengthens one's position. Blind mercy is not noble. It is naive self-sabotage dressed in righteousness. Mercy is a tool, not a principle. When wielded by a thinker, it wins loyalty, disarms enemies, and builds influence. But when given freely to all, it invites betrayal, corruption, and collapse. Those who show mercy without measuring its cost are architects of their own downfall. To spare a serpent because it crawls slowly is to be bitten when it grows fangs. Every act of forgiveness must be weighed against consequence. Every display of leniency must serve a purpose beyond emotion. Strategy turns mercy from sentiment into power. Without that balance, mercy becomes the language of fools. The strong understand timing. They know when mercy cultivates allegiance and when it breeds insolence. To pardon an enemy before he has learned fear is to nurture rebellion. To forgive a traitor before the loyal are rewarded is to erode faith. Mercy, when unearned, breeds contempt. It tells the wicked that punishment is negotiable, and teaches the ambitious that boundaries can be crossed without consequence. Those who lead with unchecked compassion are devoured by those who pretend to need it. The world respects the blade more than the open hand, for the blade commands attention, while mercy invites testing. Mercy must serve power, not oppose it. It must be part of a design that ensures survival and dominance. A leader's mercy should appear as grace from a position of control, not as a plea for peace from a position of weakness. It is better to be feared and merciful than loved and powerless. Fear secures order. Mercy refines it. Mercy without fear, however, dissolves both. The wise do not show mercy because they are compelled by heart. They show it because it advances their cause, strengthens their rule, and cements their authority in the minds of those who depend on them. Even nature itself is merciless in its laws. The predator shows no pity to the prey, yet the balance remains. The world operates on necessity, not sentiment. To survive in it, one must learn to act beyond the pull of emotion. Mercy given at the wrong time destroys nations, empires, and men. The heart may feel noble in granting it, but the mind must decide when it is deserved. For mercy unguided by strategy is not compassion, it is surrender, disguised as virtue. Control is the highest form of power. The one who can command himself can command others, for all domination begins with mastery of the mind. Power without control is chaos, and chaos consumes both the ruler and the ruled. Control transforms raw force into influence, emotion into strategy, and instinct into precision. It is the invisible hand that bends outcomes, the quiet presence that directs the course of events without needing to shout. Those who seek power but lack control become slaves to their desires, easily manipulated by those who can restrain their own. The world belongs not to the strongest body, but to the steadiest will. Control is not simply restraint, it is direction. It is the ability to shape perception, to conceal intent, to let anger burn within without showing its smoke. The world is moved by appearances, and control allows a man to wear the right mask at the right time. Those who cannot control their reactions reveal their weaknesses before battle begins. The calm face, the composed tone, the deliberate silence, these are weapons sharper than any sword. The man who controls his expression controls the fear of his enemies and the loyalty of his allies. Power radiates from composure, for it suggests certainty, and certainty is irresistible to those who live in confusion. Control also means mastery over desire. Many are conquered not by their enemies, but by their own cravings for approval, for wealth, for affection. The uncontrolled chase illusions, while the controlled choose purpose. To govern others, one must first govern hunger. A man who cannot say no to himself will never hear yes from the world. Those who have mastered control do not react, they calculate. They do not rush, they time. They do not hope, they plan. The absence of control makes even great potential meaningless. For without direction, strength scatters like dust in the wind. Control is also the art of silence. To speak only when necessary, to reveal nothing that can be used against you, to make uncertainty your ally. This is the craft of the powerful. The one who knows how to remain still while others panic becomes the axis around which the world turns. When tempests rise, people follow calmness, like soldiers follow a banner. Control breeds order, and order breeds trust. The world instinctively obeys the one who never loses command of himself, for he becomes a symbol of stability in a sea of noise. To control is to rule, without needing force. Armies and laws may compel obedience, but control compels belief. It allows one to influence without demanding, to dominate without appearing oppressive. True control is subtle. It is power disguised as calm inevitability. Those who have it can walk into conflict and bend it to their will, not through rage or fear, but through the steady gravity of their presence. Control is not the absence of emotion, it is the governance of it. It is power refined into art, the purest expression of dominance over both self and circumstance. Fairness is defined by those who dominate. The idea of fairness is not born from justice, but from power. For the one who holds authority decides what balance means. Every law, every right, every moral code has always been written by those strong enough to impose it. Fairness is not an eternal truth. It is a mask worn by victory. The defeated call for equality. The victorious define it. The world pretends to worship fairness, but beneath that illusion lies the simple fact that fairness follows strength, never precedes it. Those who lack power speak of fairness because it is the only weapon left to them. Those who possess power shape fairness to protect their throne. The history of humanity is the history of conquest disguised as justice. Every empire declared its rule fair. Every conqueror claimed to bring order, and every ruler justified domination as necessity. Fairness bends easily to those who can control the narrative. When the powerful call something fair, it becomes so, not because it is right, but because no one can oppose it. The weak may argue, but their words carry no weight without the force to defend them. The world listens only to those whose hands can make their words reality. Fairness, then, is not a principle, it is a privilege earned through dominance. To dominate is to hold the pen that writes the rules. Those who lead understand that fairness is a construct, a tool to secure compliance and maintain structure. They distribute justice not equally, but effectively. They know that total fairness breeds rebellion among those who crave more, and total cruelty breeds revolt among those who have nothing to lose. The wise ruler uses fairness like a scale, tipping it when needed to balance ambition and control. He does not chase fairness for its own sake. He uses its illusion to sustain order. The people accept injustice when it is cloaked in fairness, and that illusion is more powerful than the truth. The cry for fairness is often the cry of those unwilling to fight for power. The strong do not wait for fairness, they create advantage. They understand that life does not owe equality, and that survival demands asymmetry. To dominate is to redefine fairness at will, to make others believe that your gain serves their good. Control over perception is more valuable than the sword. For once people accept your definition of fairness, they will defend it as if it were their own. The ruler who masters this art governs minds, not just bodies. Even in personal conflict, fairness is the language of the powerless. Those who seek fairness before they possess influence are begging for mercy from those who owe them none. The wise understand that fairness can only exist once power is secured. Until then, the world belongs to those who take, not to those who wait. Fairness is a story told by the strong to make their rule appear just, and by the weak to justify their defeat. The difference is who controls the ending. Compassion unguarded becomes weakness. Compassion in its purest form is a noble instinct, but when it is allowed to move without discipline, it turns against its own bearer. The heart that feels too easily becomes the easiest to manipulate, and in a world ruled by ambition, to be easily moved is to be easily controlled. Compassion must be governed by intelligence, shaped by purpose, and released only when it strengthens position or preserves order. When compassion becomes impulse, it ceases to be virtue and becomes vulnerability. Those who allow emotion to rule reason are not kind. They are unarmed in a battlefield that rewards cunning over sentiment. The world praises compassion publicly, but exploits it privately. Those who preach mercy are often the first to take advantage of it. To survive among men, one must see compassion not as an endless well, but as a measured resource. It should be offered strategically, not constantly. The wise use compassion as a means to win hearts without losing control. They understand when to show softness and when to let silence speak for them. The foolish, however, mistake approval for respect and end up enslaved by the expectations of others. Compassion, when excessive, invites exploitation. The more one gives without thought, the more others demand. There is strength in restraint. To feel compassion, yet act with reason, is mastery of the self. To act on every emotion is servitude to it. The powerful understand that compassion must have limits, for unguarded empathy erodes authority. A ruler who bends too easily loses command. A leader who forgives too freely teaches rebellion. A heart that cannot bear to deny will soon have nothing left to give. Compassion must flow through the filter of judgment. It must serve strategy, not sabotage it. When guided by wisdom, compassion becomes influence. When guided by guilt, it becomes ruin. Compassion unguarded also blinds. It makes one see victims where there are opportunists, allies where there are rivals, and loyalty where there is convenience. It paints danger in soft colors until betrayal becomes invisible. Those who allow compassion to override awareness walk willingly into traps designed to feed on their virtue. The art of survival lies not in rejecting compassion, but in refining it, knowing when it serves humanity and when it serves deceit. True compassion is not blind pity, but selective mercy that upholds order and protects strength. Even the most benevolent intention, when left unchecked, destroys the very balance it seeks to preserve. To act without boundaries in the name of compassion is to invite chaos disguised as kindness. The world does not respect those who are endlessly forgiving. It respects those who choose when to forgive. Power and compassion must coexist, but power must always lead. The heart is a noble advisor, but a terrible ruler. Without the guard of intellect, compassion becomes surrender. And surrender in a ruthless world is not love, it is self-erasure. Ruthlessness is disciplined clarity, not cruelty. It is the sharpened edge of reason cutting through the fog of emotion. To be ruthless is not to delight in harm, but to act with precision when hesitation means defeat. The cruel act from impulse, the ruthless act from understanding. Where cruelty seeks suffering, ruthlessness seeks survival. The difference lies not in the hand that strikes, but in the mind that commands it. Ruthlessness is the ability to see the world as it is, not as one wishes it to be, and to make decisions free of illusion or guilt. It is control applied to conflict, logic applied to chaos, and necessity elevated above sentiment. Ruthlessness is the armor of those who must lead. It allows one to make choices that others cannot bear to face. To lead without it is to drown in the noise of pity and indecision. The world tests leaders not through comfort but through crisis, and in crisis, hesitation is death. Those who cannot separate feeling from duty will soon be broken by those who can. Compassion may inspire loyalty, but only ruthlessness preserves it. It is the invisible force that maintains order when chaos demands compromise. It is the strength to do what must be done, even when the heart protests. Ruthlessness demands intellect, not rage. The foolish confuse it with brutality, but true ruthlessness is quiet, measured, deliberate. It calculates the cost of every move and pays only what must be paid. It wastes nothing, not emotion, not effort, not time. The ruthless do not destroy for pleasure. They remove obstacles for progress. They do not strike blindly. They strike once, and with purpose. Such control is what separates power from tyranny. The tyrant is ruled by cruelty. The strategist commands ruthlessness. The world belongs to those who understand necessity. When choices are reduced to survival or ruin, pity becomes a luxury. The ruthless understand that order cannot exist without sacrifice, that peace cannot survive without discipline, and that strength is not inherited, it is enforced. They act not to please, but to prevail. Their actions may be condemned, yet history always remembers them as builders of empires, while the sentimental vanish in the dust of their failures. Ruthlessness is not the absence of humanity. It is humanity refined by wisdom. It demands that one feel deeply, yet act logically. It does not reject emotion, but rules it. To be ruthless is to understand that mercy has its moment. And when that moment passes, mercy becomes betrayal of purpose. The ruthless see morality as a weapon, not a chain. They know that every decision carries a cost, and they are willing to pay it when others are not. It is through this discipline that they shape destiny, not through kindness or cruelty, but through clarity that never wavers. Survival demands decisive, unsentimental action. The world moves too fast for hesitation, too coldly for sentiment to guide strategy. Those who pause to weigh feelings when the moment calls for action are buried beneath the speed of the ruthless. Survival does not belong to those who wish it belongs to those who act. Decisiveness is not recklessness. It is clarity, sharpened by necessity. Every empire built, every leader remembered, every victory carved into history was born from a decision made without apology. The uncertain perish, not because they lack strength, but because they waste it in doubt. The world respects momentum, not emotion. To act without sentiment is not to lack heart, but to control it. Emotion clouds the horizon, blurs judgment, and turns courage into confusion. Those who survive understand that the heart can feel, but the hand must still strike. Mercy has its place, but in the wrong moment, it becomes surrender. The decisive see what must be done and do it, not because they desire cruelty, but because they understand cost. They know that every act of power demands a sacrifice, and they make it before hesitation poisons resolve. The sentimental dream of what could be, the decisive build what must be. Indecision is the quiet assassin of ambition. It kills without noise, without blood, through endless waiting. The world does not pause for the unsure, it advances over them. To hesitate is to grant your rivals time, and time is the deadliest weapon of all. In war, in leadership, in life, the one who acts first shapes the battlefield. Even a wrong decision made with conviction holds more strength than endless reflection without action. The weak seek perfection before they move. The strong move and create perfection through will. Decisiveness is the mark of command. It demands the courage to accept imperfection, to stand by a choice even when uncertainty whispers otherwise. The sentimental seek comfort in consensus, but true power stands alone when others waver. The one who can decide swiftly under pressure controls both fear and fate. When chaos erupts, people look not to the most compassionate, but to the most certain. The one who speaks with conviction commands those who wait for permission. That is why survival favors the cold-minded and the quick-handed. Unsympathetic action is often misunderstood as cruelty, but in truth, it is necessity stripped of illusion. There are moments when the cost of delay outweighs the cost of severity. To act decisively is to understand this law and to obey it without regret. The sentimental imagine survival as harmony. The strong know it as conquest over hesitation. The world does not remember those who meant well, but failed to move it, remembers those who moved and shaped its meaning. To survive in such a world, one must be both swift and detached, guided not by comfort but by outcome, and willing to do in a moment what others cannot do in a lifetime. Fear endures longer than love. Love is a fire that burns bright, but brief. It dazzles, warms, and fades. Fear, however, roots itself deep within the mind, shaping obedience long after the feeling of affection dies. Those who depend on love to maintain loyalty are slaves to emotion, but those who command through fear hold power that survives betrayal, disappointment, and time. The world does not remain loyal to affection. It remains loyal to authority. Fear binds more tightly than sentiment because it commands respect even when admiration disappears. Love is voluntary, fragile, and ever-changing. It thrives only in peace and dies in conflict. When the winds of fortune turn, those who once loved will protect themselves first. Love demands constant nurturing, endless attention, and perfect consistency, luxuries that power cannot always afford. Fear, in contrast, requires only demonstration. A single act of strength secures more obedience than 1,000 words of affection. Love asks to be earned. Fear demands to be remembered. The nature of people is inconsistent. They love in comfort and abandon in crisis. They admire strength from a distance, but resent it up close. They will praise a gentle ruler while secretly respecting the ruthless one. Love is fickle because it depends on emotion, and emotion is the weakest foundation for stability. Fear, however, is constant. It survives mood, rumor, and time. It makes men cautious even when they hate, silent even when they disagree, loyal even when their hearts rebel. To rule or to survive, one must understand that fear is not cruelty, it is structure. It keeps order where affection breeds chaos. It prevents betrayal where kindness invites testing. The wise do not seek to be hated, they seek to be respected through fear that is just, measured, and undeniable. The balance lies in inspiring enough fear to ensure obedience, yet not enough to breed revolt. Fear without control is tyranny. Fear with intelligence is power. Fear also liberates the strong from dependence. Those who rely on love become hostages to approval, forever bending to please. The one who rules through fear, however, answers to no one but necessity. He acts without hesitation because he does not fear losing affection. His decisions are clear, his vision unclouded, his will unbroken. Love enslaves the ruler to his people. Fear frees him to protect what must endure. Even in personal ambition, Fear commands greater influence than love. Competitors love until opportunity divides them. Allies love until envy consumes them. But fear restrains both, forcing caution where desire would otherwise destroy. It is the unseen chain that holds the ambitious in check, the quiet authority that compels silence when words could wound. The world may smile at love, but it obeys fear. It is not affection that builds empires. It is the memory of consequence. Fear outlasts every emotion, because it speaks the only language the world truly understands: survival. Loyalty must be managed, not trusted. Loyalty is not a gift freely given. It is a currency, fragile and transactional, sustained only by power, benefit, or fear. Those who place blind faith in loyalty are architects of their own betrayal. No allegiance endures without nourishment, and no devotion is eternal unless guarded by necessity. People are loyal only as long as it serves them. When profit shifts, hearts follow. The wise ruler understands this and treats loyalty as an arrangement, not a virtue. To manage loyalty is to understand human nature, to anticipate betrayal before it blooms, to reward obedience before it fades, and to control the conditions under which faith survives. Trusting loyalty without oversight is surrender. Those who believe in eternal faithfulness invite deception, for loyalty tested too rarely is loyalty already lost. Men swear allegiance in safety, but turn in fear when danger arrives. They praise strength while it feeds them, but when the tide changes, they drift toward the new source of power. The prudent leader neither despises nor idealizes loyalty. He measures it. He understands that it thrives on opportunity, attention, and fear in equal measure. He binds it with rewards, but secures it with control. Loyalty, like fire, must be contained. When allowed to burn freely, it can destroy the one it was meant to serve. Those who inspire loyalty through affection alone will be loved until a stronger hand appears. Those who inspire it through fear will be obeyed even in absence. The secret lies in balance: enough fear to ensure stability, enough reward to ensure willful service. To manage loyalty is to understand that every man carries a hidden price. The wise pay it when necessary, deny it when strategic, and always ensure that loyalty remains cheaper than rebellion. The strongest rulers and commanders never rest on the illusion of loyalty. They build systems that make betrayal impossible or unprofitable. They rotate power, divide influence, and reward obedience publicly to remind others that loyalty is visible and valuable. They keep allies close enough to depend on them, but distant enough to prevent alliance among them. Control of loyalty is control of order. Once loyalty shifts to another, authority dissolves not in battle, but in whispers. Loyalty must also be tested. A man untested in adversity cannot be called loyal, for loyalty revealed only in comfort is mere convenience. True loyalty emerges under pressure, and only the wise recognize the difference. To manage loyalty is to create moments where faith must prove itself. Those who pass are strengthened. Those who falter are removed. The world is filled with men who speak of loyalty as though it were a virtue, but it is merely another form of interest. Those who rule must treat it as such, measured, observed, and maintained through vigilance. Loyalty is not secured through emotion. It is maintained through design, sustained not by promises, but by consequence. Appear virtuous only when it serves you. Virtue is a tool, not a commandment. The world worships the image of goodness more than the substance of it. And those who understand this wield morality as a mask to disarm suspicion and manipulate trust. Appearances govern the weak, and perception rules the masses. To seem righteous is to control hearts. To be righteous, without purpose, is to surrender advantage. People judge by what they see, not by what is true. Therefore, one must master the art of seeming, not the burden of being. Virtue displayed at the wrong time is folly. Virtue concealed until strategic is wisdom. To appear virtuous is to understand the power of illusion. A kind word can open doors that force could not. A gesture of mercy can disguise ambition. A reputation for honor can shield the most ruthless plans. The masses crave the comfort of morality. They follow those who reflect it, not those who question it. The wise play this game without believing it. They wear virtue like armor visible to others, but removable when needed. To be seen as good is to gain trust. To act as good always is to invite ruin. The difference between survival and destruction lies in knowing when to reveal the mask and when to remove it. Those who try to live purely in a world ruled by deception become prey to those who understand performance. The world does not reward authenticity. It rewards presentation. Appear moral, and you will be forgiven your sins. Declare yourself honest, and even lies will be excused. Speak of peace, and your conquest will be celebrated. Appearances bend truth, because people prefer comfort over reality. The wise exploit this instinct without shame, for they understand that sincerity without control is weakness, and image without mastery is chaos. Virtue must serve ambition. A man who refuses to act immorally, even when necessity demands it, is not moral. He is powerless. The strong use morality as camouflage, a tool to keep the suspicious calm and the gullible obedient. When virtue becomes inconvenient, it must be set aside until the goal is achieved. The world remembers success, not purity. History forgives ruthlessness if it is draped in the language of righteousness. The appearance of virtue sanctifies even the darkest actions, turning strategy into legend. Appear virtuous when it gains trust, when it draws allies, when it conceals danger. Speak softly of justice while you sharpen the blade. Smile at the council while you rewrite its laws. Let others call you noble, and never correct them. The illusion of goodness is a fortress built on human faith. As long as they believe in your virtue, they will not see your power. Those who master the art of appearing virtuous hold command over both the moral and the blind. For in a world obsessed with appearances, perception is the highest truth, and virtue is the most useful disguise. Betray only with purpose and precision. Betrayal without cause is chaos, but betrayal executed with design is a tool of survival and ascension. Loyalty is valuable, yet when it becomes a chain that binds progress, it must be broken cleanly and intelligently. The wise do not betray out of impulse or emotion, they betray when the balance of power demands it. Betrayal is not treachery when it serves a higher strategy. It is transformation, the shedding of allegiance that no longer aligns with necessity. The art lies not in the act itself, but in the timing, the justification, and the silence that follows. To betray with precision is to calculate every consequence before striking. The fool betrays for gain and earns enemies. The strategist betrays for order and creates opportunity. Betrayal, when done clumsily, breeds chaos and vengeance. When done skillfully, it appears inevitable. The key is control. Control of motive, of manner, of perception. One must never betray openly, for open betrayal invites wrath. The wise act subtly, ensuring that others see betrayal not as treachery, but as the correction of loyalty misplaced. In this, betrayal becomes not sin but necessity, a step taken for the greater balance of power. Purpose separates betrayal from destruction. To betray merely for greed or revenge is to act like a beast. To betray for the preservation of vision is to act like a ruler. There are moments when an alliance turns stale, when loyalty becomes a liability, when the weight of others' weakness endangers one's strength. In those moments, hesitation is self-sabotage. The strong know that betrayal is sometimes the highest form of loyalty to one's destiny, to one's purpose, to the truth of survival. The weak betray because they cannot resist temptation. The strong betray because they cannot allow failure to spread. Betrayal also demands preparation. The wise never move without ensuring that the ground beneath them is secure. They weaken their target's influence, build quiet alliances elsewhere, and ensure that by the time the betrayal is realized, the new order has already begun. Precision requires foresight, and foresight requires patience. The greatest betrayals in history were not spontaneous. They were the result of silent calculation, invisible groundwork, and flawless execution. Even in betrayal, perception must be managed. A betrayal that looks cruel will invite rebellion, but one that looks inevitable will command respect. The skill is in making others believe that your choice was forced by circumstance, that it was their failure, not your ambition, that demanded it. The powerful betray cleanly and leave no trace of guilt. They understand that history forgets the method when it celebrates the result. Those who betray with purpose do not seek forgiveness, they ensure it is never needed. Those who betray with precision do not create chaos, they create new order. Betrayal, in the right hands, is not a collapse of trust, but a shift of control. A silent reordering of power, disguised as fate. The weak suffer the rules. The strong write them. Power is the author of every law, the architect of every moral, the invisible hand that shapes the limits of right and wrong. The world pretends that justice is balanced, that rules exist to protect all equally. But in truth, rules exist to preserve the control of those who create them. The weak obey because they must. The strong command because they can. This has always been the law behind all others, the one truth that no society can hide beneath the veil of fairness. The strong define what is acceptable, and the weak are told to call it righteous. Rules are weapons, not principles. They bind the obedient and empower the Creator. To understand this is to see through the illusion of order. The strong understand that rules are flexible, that they can be bent, twisted, or rewritten to serve purpose. The weak cling to rules as if they were protection, not realizing they are shackles. The strong use those shackles to control. When a law becomes inconvenient, the powerful amend it. When morality hinders ambition, they redefine it. The weak wait for permission to act. The strong act, and let others find reasons to justify it. Every great system of control has been built not on justice, but on authority. The strong declare what is right, and punish what opposes it. Even morality itself is crafted by those who hold influence. They decide what is virtue, what is sin, and what is treason. They understand that people crave structure, that the masses will accept any rule as long as it is given to them with confidence. The weak suffer under the illusion of protection because they fear the chaos that comes without rules. The strong, however, thrive in that chaos and learn to shape it into order of their own making. To write the rules is to command reality. To obey them without question is to live in chains forged by another's will. The weak appeal to fairness, believing that rules are sacred, while the strong recognize them as tools to be rewritten whenever they no longer serve. This is why power rarely apologizes, and why authority never asks, it dictates. Every revolution that ever succeeded did so by discarding the old rules and creating new ones to justify its rise. The strong do not play the game, they redesign the board. Sentiment is a mask, wear it when useful. Emotion is the most persuasive disguise in the theater of power. People trust those who seem to feel deeply. They follow those who appear sincere, and they obey those who can make them believe their hearts are understood. Sentiment softens defenses faster than threats. To display emotion strategically is to control perception, and perception rules reality. The one who can cry on command, show pity when it serves, and feign humility in victory, holds more control than the one who merely commands through fear. Sentiment is not truth, it is performance, and those who master it shape the minds of others without drawing their swords. The strong understand that emotion must never govern action, but it must always be present in appearance. A cold face invites suspicion, but a controlled expression invites trust. The wise wear sentiment as a mask visible enough to seem human, restrained enough to remain untouchable. The world does not love the emotionless. It fears them. To maintain influence, one must appear compassionate, not be ruled by compassion. To appear sincere while calculating within is an art, a balance between illusion and intent. The mask of sentiment disarms the cautious and draws loyalty from the naive. The illusion of fairness keeps the powerless obedient. They are taught to honor the rules even when the rules devour them. The strong break the same boundaries and are called bold. The weak break them and are called criminals. In every age, in every empire, this pattern remains the same. Those who suffer the rules speak of justice, while those who write them speak of order. Power does not answer to principle, it uses principle to explain itself.